Welcome to the Audacious OBM podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Woff, creator of OBM Academy and founder of Audacious Empires. Each week, my crew and I will explore all things building and scaling an exceptional OBM business. This podcast is here to share how you can charge premium prices, have clients lining up to work with you, and never have to work another weekend again. You can have a thriving OBM business, working with the clients you want, when you want, and charging the price you want. It's time to banish mediocre and become the standout, sought after OBM you know you can be. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Audacious OBM. I'm Leanne Woff, and I'm super excited to have you here with me today. Today's episode is all about client management. It is how to manage multiple clients as an OBM. This is a question I actually get asked a lot. That is, how do you go about having more than one client? Especially with the kind of role that being an OBM is. We are personable, we are in-depth, we are high touch. So how can you possibly go about that and be that invested with multiple clients? So in this episode, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks into how you can do this with ease and give you some examples of some of the things that I do and have done in the past that makes being an OBM manageable and keeps your schedule nice and sharp and succinct with your clients feeling loved up. All right, so let's get stuck in. The success or failure when it comes to managing multiple clients at one time, when you're working to this level, really comes down to clarity. Clarity will be your indicator. The clearer that you are about things, the easier it will be and the smoother your schedule will run. So when we are quoting, when we are creating packages, or when we are having introduction chats with clients, we want to get super clear on what the job actually is and what the capacity will be for you to commit to this. So if we can list out inclusions that are really specific, and even list out exclusions, so things that aren't going to fall into what you're offering, this is going to add that layer of clarity. Now, what I want you to be doing is looking at these inclusions and managing your capacity. How much time is involved in each of these things? How much consistent time is needed. So sometimes it is easier for us to say, do some planning one day and then do, some strategy prep the next day. Whatever it might be, how you work with clients, you really need to think about blocks of time and if what's required of this quote, this project, this retainer, whatever it is that you're doing, is it consistent time? Or is it, no, it's going to have to be spread out over these days in these weeks until you have a really nice map. The aim here is to get a project plan going, even if it's a retainer, because we still should know how long roughly things take us. We also should know where our critical points are. We know when a job is big and when there will be tight turnarounds, and we know when something will be fairly cruisy. And so we want to be factoring all of this in and laying out the pieces. How do we do that? When I'm first mapping anything, including my own time, usually I start with a calendar on one screen and a spreadsheet on the other, because I'm very visual that way. I want to be able to see, okay, here's my week and here's all of the things I need to fit into this week, next week, the week after, or in general. And then I have a spreadsheet so that I can brainstorm and brain dump a little bit without having to create more calendar events if I don't need to right now. So I can play with it. And first, I work in blocks. I love time blocking, even if it is just for setting up your overall high-level plan. So if you're trying to work out, okay, I've got family, I've got clients, I've got business, how do I map this? Okay, family. I know that might take 10 hours a week, and I know that Susie has soccer on Wednesdays. Map in those things first. And then in your spreadsheet, you can go, okay, out of my 30 hours to work this week, I will have to take 5 of that for picking kids up for school. So that leaves me with 25 hours. Now, if I know that I want to take 30 minutes every day for lunch, that takes another 2.5 hours out of that total. Now I'm going to go and block in my lunch in my calendar. So this is another thing. Always block in your breaks, or you won't have them. You'll just keep working. Whereas when they're in there, they become like an appointment for you, and you want to meet your appointments. So blocking your breaks. Now, we've got breaks, we've got kids, we've got what's left in work time. And I want you to think about each of the different services that you offer. How long does it actually take you to deliver those services? So you might just have a general OBM package. And if you're charging by the hour and selling hourly packages, it becomes really easy, right? Because then it's just, okay, I've got 10 hours a week in clients across the board. So I know I have to find 10 hours of time to deliver my client work. So set those blocks up. It might not be as straightforward as that, because even though charging by the hour can be great, a lot of the time packages are more profitable. So we sell those, which is where your deliverables become really important, because we need to be able to see, this is what I'm operating to for the next however long. So you might have a project that's going over 3 months, and you might have mapped that project out, and you know you're going to spend about 5 hours a week on that project. Map in the time for those things. Then, once we've done that, we need to add in some business management time. Nothing about running a business is hands-free. And you know that because you run other people's businesses. You also know that if there is no time mapped for it, you're not going to give it any. So if you don't put in marketing time, if you don't put in client update time into your overall schedule, you're never going to do it. And it will impact your client experience, and it will impact your business and your profitability. So we want to try and put chunks as much as we can. And it's not even saying you need to do this week on week, like week on week. You might have a marketing block that is a whole day in a month, or half a day every week, or once a fortnight a day, whatever works for you. But make sure you're putting something in there. So once we've got a map and we understand how much time we actually have, how much working time do you have? That shows you how many clients you can take on, roughly, if you know your services really well, which you need to do. Then you start pivoting over to your project management tool. So Asana rules my life. I love it, but it only works if I have that clarity that I was talking about earlier. So all of my client projects go in Asana. My clients cannot access them. This is for running my business, my team, and me. The work that I am doing with clients also gets put into their project management system. That is where I give them updates. And so what this means is there's double handling. But can I tell you, double handling this one thing is worth it. I have not found a better way to do this, but giving your clients the information they need within their system is crucial. Knowing what your day, week, month looks like, and what the priority is and your timelines are for things, your ability to save things somewhere where no one else can see it, or to keep notes as you're going, it's also crucial. So Asana does that for me, and sometimes it means putting an update in the client's Asana and putting the same update in mine. Sometimes mine has extra notes that my client doesn't see. Sometimes the client's one has links that mine doesn't need. It's all very holistic the way that I do it. But I have clear objectives. Again, with clarity. I need to know that the client has what they need, that everything that business needs to function, have a trail, create systems to scale later on, have a history of what's happened so that my clients can get their update as soon as they want it for them to see if things are on track or off track. It needs to be in their tool. And then for me to be able to coordinate my own work, my week, my team, what they're doing, be able to see where all our clients are up to across the board, I need Asana updated. And so how I do that is I have a project for each client, and I have our key milestones. So what are the things that we're doing with this client that are going to show me that we've completed something, or that are going to show me that we're progressing towards our goal? And again, this can look different based on how you've structured your services. If it is, say, you are creating processes for a client, you want to streamline things. In your project, your milestones might be, okay, we're going to do an audit first. Then we're going to, once we've got that audit, we're going to map out all the gaps. Then we're going to create the plan of what we think is missing, what we think needs to be updated and overhauled. Like maybe some of these processes are too old. We're going to include in that possibly the different tools that we need or the different team members we need to talk to. So creating that plan would be one of the milestones. Then rolling out that plan is going to be the next thing. Potentially your plan has 3 big areas. Each one of those areas becomes a milestone. And then there's handover. So you'll be able to look at that all different ways. Okay, so whether it's retainer or not. Then you'll have that for every client. So you'll be able to pull reports on where everything is up to. And for each action that is in your tool, I want you to know how long you plan to spend on it. Give things a time estimate and then plan that time. Make sure that these things are feeding in together. Otherwise, you will be over capacity and you won't be able to meet your needs. And then you'll be upset and your clients will be upset and it won't be great. Once we've got everything in our tool, so we've got things in our calendar in terms of the blocks of when we're going to work on things and who's working on what, when our meetings are, we're making sure our balance is right in terms of how many hours we need to commit to different things, life and business. We've got our tool, which has our tasks. It has our big plans and our little plans. It has all of our team. It can run reports and give us progress updates so we know, these are the tasks I have to do in this block. And we can go and do it. The next piece is using that to boost communication. So we really want to keep our clients up to date. And this can be part of the hard bit of having multiple clients, is we feel like there's this big burden on how much we have to update everybody. But really, that's just reactive behavior. If you already know what you're going to be working on, you can give a pre-update. Hey, just letting you know that this is going to be my focus. Keeping them in the loop. And then giving them an update when you're done. Hey, just letting you know everything is on track. You can see it here in your project management tool. And I've left notes. And here, this is over to you to review. And if that is not natural for you, try and make it a habit. But if you can't, then block that time in. Put it in there. Must update client. Have a weekly meeting. Make sure you know what you're talking about in those weekly meetings. Give them the recap. Because I tell you what, if you're not meeting your objectives, you're going to know when you're doing the notes for that meeting. When you're setting that agenda, you're going to start feeling like, I actually haven't done it. Why haven't I done it? We want to review and be really clear. Be honest with yourself what your capacity is. And then I really want you to add extra time. So as humans, we always don't give ourselves enough time. We underestimate how long something will take us. And the more time pressure we have, the lower the client experience is, the lower the quality of work. because then we start rushing and we miss things. And then your reputation is at stake. So how do I handle multiple clients? I'm clear. I'm clear on what I'm doing. I'm clear on when I'm doing it. I'm clear on what I need to fit into my week. And I'm clear on what my process is. Those are the things that keep my business on track. And I've built in rhythms so I know this is when I go and look at where everything is up to. This is what I do if something is off track. This is how I update clients. This is the areas where things might go off track, and here's why. Sometimes you're going to have instances where you can't predict everything. You can ballpark, but until you're actually there, you won't be able to give the full scope. And all it means is you have to be really clear with your clients again in communicating with them. When we get to this point, I think from what I know now that it's going to look like this, but here's some key factors that might change that. And if I get in there and I see that, well, actually you've got 4 email marketing tools and not just 2 like you thought you did, and you've got more data, and it means that this job is going to roll on. It means we will need to alter the project plan because it is not within scope now. It is different. Some pieces have moved. So what do we need to do to cater for that? And we do it in advance. All of these things are going to help you manage multiple clients and still be fully in it. Keep notes, keep documentation, and always work from a place as if you're not the only one that is going to touch it. Because then when you go back to it, you'll be able to see exactly where you're up to. You'll be able to jog your own memory. You'll be able to give the client the experience they deserve and that you can deliver. So I hope that helps you. I could go on, and I could pull this down into multiple layers. So I just want to reiterate that this is more of a high-level overview. Lots of clients, biggest things, communication and clarity. If you can do that, then you will be well on your way to doing this stress-free. See you next week, everybody. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review because that's how other OBMs find us, and it can help them too. Bye, guys. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of The Audacious OBM. We hope this episode has helped you move forward in your journey to being a standout and sought after OBM. If you enjoyed the episode, take a second to rate and review. Each review helps us to help other OBMs just like you. If you're interested in learning more about OBM Academy and all that it offers, head over to audaciousempires.com to get all the juicy details. We'll be back next week.